Okay, here we go against Utah. And of course, I think I start off with an 11 personnel one. Yeah. So right here, the only thing that we're going to do, game plan. We know that they're going to stay right here. So he's just going to arc and go to this guy. And the line's going to block 4 down to the mic right here. And we're just going to treat this as if he's out here and that's the corner that he's responsible for. Guard needs to pull a lot tighter than that. See how wide he gets? Chases him instead of chases the line of scrimmage. You should be chasing the line as they work upfield. They should be tightening down to him. End zone. To me, this is really good right here. Watch this left tackle, just hand support. Nice little punch. Give it to the guard so the guard can just base it if he can actually get on flat-footed instead of being up on his tippy toes. And then right up to that backer, nice and square. That's exactly what we would like if we could actually get a kick out right here. That's the exact seam that we're looking for. Just he loses and he doesn't have a really good block right there. Okay, a 4-3 base team. They're going to bump over. Mike's over here, Will's here, so they should be pushing to the Will. This is right here. I think that's a 3, and that's one of the main reasons that we like it back towards the 1 so you can actually trap and show, because when he gives that down block, how tight this guy gets, that it becomes very difficult, but he's athletic that he logs him, and then he was very lucky to be able to come back out of this and wheel this guy around and get the freaking back inside him.
If that DN, the play side DN, hard charge, the team would pick him up, and then the quarterback would your quarterback would be a team kind of thing.
Wait, so if which one?
So your play side DN, the one that you're kicking out, but he squeezes down and you fold him inside.
Okay, so he goes tight.
Charges. If he hard
Upfield, then it should be just a long trap at that point. That's what we would like. That's why we like it when we can get the flash set by the tackle so we can get an actual kick-out block. So right there, like if we could, we would like him to flash, get high, act like he's in a kick step, and then come back down. But because of the 3, he can't. But this is one of those situations where if they get, I think we had game planned that we're always going to trap the ends, is they could have based both sides here, let him block back and actually just fold, like basically like draw, but do it in at full speed instead of slow playing it to 7. Okay, push back to the Will. Let's go end zone copy. So right there, with him getting inside shade, he should actually flash this to try to get this guy a little bit wider. But he's thinking that he's got to stay on the double at all times and up to that guy. That's where he's got to, right here, see how this time he actually puts that left hand inside. He starts to put that left hand in. Right there is what is we got to stay off of that, and that was like one of our big focal points like this year in spring and fall camp, and it's the same thing with zone. Because of the way we do zone and the way that we want to work, you just want to be here and keep this other hand free. You want to be able to punch, whether it's front side or backside, punch the guy over to him and then climb. That's why we want the displacement zone, because then when we're in our gap and trap stuff, it's the same type of technique of one hand presence. You do not want to bury, because then because of the space, by the time you turn back, that guy's filling your gap. So you want to stay as square as possible, just working the one hand on a guy and one hand free. Okay, against odd. So right here we go same side with it. And then you just got to read all the way around it. And this is where the quarterback's got to be able to take a peek at this guy when they get that 3-2 box. Got to take a look at peeking at the overhangs and get the ball out to one of those guys.
Which Marsh, for like the base rule, like you're just teasing it to try to be as simple as possible. You know, last I was reading it, say you can go like pretty much you're telling a kid if you've got a 3 technique on that side, it's really trap.
Yes.
And if you've got a 1 tech,
Then you want to turn it into fold. But so you can do it 2 different ways. So let's get back to an even front. Like most guys that I know, and the way that I was actually taught this play before I got to UCLA, is it was only a 4-down run play. You only ran it against 4 down so you can get the angles. And what you ran it as is you ran it as one play was a trap, and then the other was actually called fold. And all you're going to do is right here, if he's inside, he's going to base all the way back to the 3. He's going to block down, and all you're creating is basically ISO right here, is base out, block down, have a lead blocker for the back on the mic, and then somebody has to take care of him. That's the way that I was originally taught it. And then if you were running back this way, is base, base, and then it's an actual A-gap power play. It's an A or B based off of what it is. One of the best high school guys that I first learned from was Jeff Steinberg out in California. And he was the guy that I was talking about earlier that never ran zone until he got a zone line coach. So it was all man, and that was his base play against 4 down. He was at Santiago. He just went, where did he just go? He just took a new job this past year, Rancho something, I think. But he does a lot of that stuff, and then he's adapted it to that. But that's that's where we got our 1-back power from. But the thing that I really like about this and working with Coach Clem is the fact that you can do it against all fronts now because it can be trap or power based off of what you're doing. But is somebody that's in the system, especially you're going into your first springs, to me, this is not a play that's full-fledged all-in first spring. Like to me, because once the kids get Giants in Detroit, this will make complete sense to them. So this would be like the 4th run that I would put in, if reinstalling from the beginning. Same thing as we see almost every time, because we're not getting that flash, we're not getting that end to come up field at all, stays nice and tight, ends up having to log him, and then because of that squeeze, he's starting to scrape around, it becomes a very hard block for him, and then it's got to be almost like a wide receiver block where when the guy starts running, just run him where he wants to go, and then the quarterback or the back will just turn up inside. So bounce it and then cut north-south right there off of him. But again, that's a very difficult for tackles that have to be able to do both maneuvers like that and then turn back out, is he doesn't even touch the guy. Yes.
Do you have a way to run this in footwork with the back where you can run it to the side that he's on, so you can try to run it to a 1 technique?
We do run it same side and across, and it's the same steps as Zorro. Normally it's going to be search step, crossover, and then straight downhill, reading the A gap. But in this, he knows as soon as he gets downhill towards the line of scrimmage, he's cutting one way or the other based off of the direction. But we have gone into games before, like there was one game where we actually checked it every time to the 1 tech side. And so if he was on it or away from it, he just knew which way he was going.
Because the 1 tech would give you the flash.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Plus what it does is if they're going to play, if they're always going to put the 3 to your back, it's a great way to counter it so you can always have a play away from it, because now you have trap and now you have Giants, because that's our pin pull that we like going towards the shade with. So now you have 2 ways, because that's what, like in the game planning one I think is later tonight, that's like 90% of what we want to know when we research you is where's the 3 tech? How do you play a 3 tech? So that's perfect though. That's exactly what you should, if you want to run it one way so you only have to teach one style of blocking for the kids, is just run it as a check play and then have them check it once they get set. See, right there, same thing with the tackle. See how he turns himself, and then it's hard for him to get back out? He gets there, but he'd be able to square this guy up a lot easier if he just pushes with one hand presence on that shoulder, and then comes straight vertical. He'd be able to meet 7 with actual physical presence, and then we'd have a game. And as you see, and this is where, like, chasing it, that guy's already going away from him, and he still chases it with both hands, ends up going backside and leaving this guy in the hole who he's supposed to be blocking. So it's a little bit different. It's not the traditional, like, gap power scheme where you're gapping down to a backside guy. You're actually gapping down and staying play side with the offensive line. Again, same polar getting a little too wide as that guy starts to squeeze. Back should see it, though, and follow him around. Still 2 hands in. But at least he gets squared up going to the second level.
Did you guys run this out of the pistol at all?
Not really. We have before, but we haven't spent time doing it, especially recently. But it has been in out of the pistol before. And I know they did there down at SMU when he was first developing it, was running a lot of it out of the pistol. So 3-2 base, get the double on the nose. And he's got to stay inside because that's his guy. He's got the safety, even though he's that low. So anybody that was in the screen session that turned into a quick passing game, okay, so this is the second time we ran this play that day. This is when I told you that we ran 93 out of 3x1. And this young man is supposed to go through his outside shoulder, even though he's an apex player, to protect him. He didn't, and this guy came right off because we ran it from the hash. So it was a lot farther and just drilled our inside guy. I thought it was on this one, but I guess not. I think I spared him from getting put on blast on tape. So they even did it to a 4-eye right there. Or that might just be the camera. But he even just based him, and then they get the double team and turn it up inside against a 3-2 box. So if they felt, I don't know if I have one in here, but if one really comes down to the line of scrimmage, if this is actually the will, I think they're bumped this way, but say this is the will, and he comes down here, they'd actually call for the trapper to come all the way this way, and these guys would actually stay front side to this guy and leave that guy on the backside as the unblocked guy.
So should Perkins have stayed inside and followed the guard?
He should have, but I don't think he saw that that guy was that low. And yeah, but he sees this guy coming off inside, so he thinks that he has the edge set. But he makes us look really good a lot of the time. That I'm not going to yell at him. Yes. Oh yes. Yes. Follow him until you can't. Okay, against the 3-3. I don't know what they called here. He must have felt that that guy was outside, so he's going to base him and let him come inside. And then it just happened to be a blitzer, and he's athletic enough to actually see it and at least get his hands in that guy's way. But still, that's the guy that's unblocked, so the quarterback's got to help us with that.